All right, welcome to another episode of Booth Ross and the Joy of Mathing. Episode 11.2. We're talking about areas of circles and sectors. So before we do that, before we talk too much about sectors, let's talk about just what the area of a circle. Area of circle is, if you recall from previous math, pi r squared, r being the radius. So let's go ahead and just do a few examples of finding the area of the circle. So for instance, on this first problem, let me zoom in a bit. We've got a radius of 5 meters. So we'll go ahead and say the area is pi times 5 squared. So the area is, 5 squared is 25, so it's 25 pi. They tell us to keep it in terms of pi, so I'll go ahead and say the area is 25 pi, and then just don't forget your units. Since we're talking about area, the units are always squared, so it'll be square meters. And there you go. Now remember, this is the exact answer. If I asked you to find the approximate answer, then you'd put it in your calculator and you would get approximately 78.54, depending on how many decimal places they ask you to go. So that would be the approximate answer. Okay. Let's go ahead, let me make this pen a little smaller because it's a little big. Let's go ahead into number 2, same idea. So we're using our area formula. And this time we do not have the radius, we have the diameter. So remember, the diameter is 2 times the radius. Therefore, the radius is a half of the diameter. So a half, the radius, will be 1/2 of 9, which is 4.5. So from there, we can go ahead and find our area. So our area is going to be pi multiplied by 4.5 squared. Well, 4.5 squared is 20.25. And then we've got our pi. And then we've got square inches. Because it's inches, remember, you always make your units. Units should always be squared. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and just do one more in this area. So this one's just an interesting question related to area. So if the area, remember area is pi r squared. If the area is doubled, if the radius, I can read. If the radius of the circle is doubled, what is its area? So if our area is normally pi r squared and we double, so I'm going to we double that radius, like so. Well, if you square 2r, remember 2r squared is the same thing as 2r times 2r, or 4r squared. So this, our area, would be the same thing as 4r squared times pi. Or, I'm going to write it this way, 4 pi r squared. So interestingly enough, if we double, so notice we don't have any number in front of pi, but we have a 4 in front of this one. In our original area, we don't have a number in front of pi, but when we doubled our radius, it's now 4. That means when you double the radius of the circle, the area is quadrupled. That just means 4 times bigger. And the reason it's 4 times bigger is because it's r squared, so you're squaring the radius, so we also have to square that too. So likewise, not that this is what the question's asking, but if I wanted to know the area of a circle where the radius is tripled, well, then your area would be pi times 3 r squared. Oh, I am struggling over here. There we go. And that would give you area is 9 pi r squared, so it'd be 9 times bigger if you triple it. So kind of an interesting thing. Okay, before we do some more examples, I do want to talk about sectors a little bit. So a sector is a region of the circle bounded by an arc. So what that means is, when I say a region, let's say we have our circle right here. The sector is this whole region right here that I'm highlighting, that's bounded by the arc that I will also highlight. Let's do it in orange. So right here, bounded by this arc. So it's going to have 2 radii on either side, so right here and right there, as well. So when you name a sector, you have to use these endpoints right here as well as the center. So you do like one endpoint to the center to the other endpoint. Okay. Now a sector is going to be a portion of the area, a fraction of the area. So in order to find the area of a sector, so notice they're calling this sector A, just to reemphasize something, they're calling this sector AOB, as you can see right here. The area of that sector is going to be the fraction of the circle. So if it's a fourth of the circle, it'd be 90 over 360, which is a fourth, because 90 degrees is a fourth. And then you're going to multiply that by whatever the area of the circle is. So this should feel so similar to last lesson.